about some things that you need to look for in the shaping of your future. Whether you realize it or not, every one of you are becoming the person that you are going to be. In other words, you don't waste your 7th grade year and say, well, later on I'll get serious about life. You don't waste your 9th grade year and say, well, I'll get serious about life later. No. Every year of your life, every month, every day is a part of you becoming who you are going to be. You know that there are people that never get over the scars that are inflicted on their lives as junior high and high school students. It's true. I know people that are precious to me that are still carrying scars that were inflicted on them socially by people when they were in high school. Isn't that amazing? But yet here's the truth. The opposite is also accurate. And that is, there are some dynamic moments that can take place in your life in high school that you will never get over. In other words, they will help you to achieve what God has always had in mind for you. It was in high school that it happened for me. I was 16 years old, and I was kind of a bored church kid. I wasn't really into worship, even though, I sang in the church choir, and I did everything my mom and dad told me to do because there were no options in my house. Rodney Duron was quite a man, and he believed that there was only one answer when he told me to do something. That was yes, sir, and it better be yes, sir, really quickly. And what I can tell you is that even though I looked like I was doing all the right things in my heart, I was not in relationship with the Lord in the way that I needed to be. And it was in my high school years, at 16 years old, when I was at Captain Tree High School, that Christ got a hold of my life and changed me forever and literally put me on the road to what I'm doing today. In fact, if you look at this school, if you look at what we are accomplishing as far as in sports, academics, and the arts, that may have all still been accomplished, but it wouldn't have been this school, and it wouldn't have been on this property, and it wouldn't have been you sitting here if it were not in high school, my having an experience with Christ that changed me forever. So how important are these shaping moments in your life? Well, look around you. They're this important. Because some of you have a school like this in your heart and you don't even know it yet. Some of you have visions and dreams in your heart that you haven't been shown yet. And the key is you becoming the kind of vessel that can simply receive that. Can receive that wonderful vision and that wonderful plan of God for your future. So I want to begin to talk to you, and during this collection of talks that I want to do starting today and the next few chapels, I want to talk to you about the kind of people you need to be looking for to help you shape your future and shape your dream. Now, Jesus was with his disciples and he was just about to be taken away from them. They're all sitting around a table. Now, here's what you have to understand about Jesus. Some of you might not know this. He was big on celebration and just hanging out with the guys. He had 12 guys that he had chosen. They were together all the time. All of their times weren't teaching moments. All of their times weren't praying moments. In fact, most of the time when Jesus prayed, he didn't even pray with those guys. He went over by himself and prayed. But they were all fellowship moments. There were times when he was interested in their lives and he was speaking into their lives, and they were laughing together. They were enjoying each other. They were comrades. They were friends. In fact, if you could meet the real Jesus, not the one in the stained glass windows in your church, not the one who is on the cover of your hymnals, not the one that you see in the pictures where he always looks like he's anemic. But I'm talking about if you could meet the real Jesus and he were to walk in right here, you would want to hang out with him. You would want to have lunch with him today. You say, oh, no, I wouldn't want you. No, you don't understand. The least condemning person you've ever met in your life is Jesus. The person that is pulling for you more than anyone else that you will ever meet is Jesus. The most affirming, encouraging individual that you could ever be in the presence of is Jesus. Sinners didn't run from him. They ran to him. They loved being with him. They were rejected by the religious crowd, but boy, they were accepted by Jesus. They loved being with Jesus. And Jesus was with his disciples, and he was just about to be taken away from them. They're sitting around and they're eating, and they're talking about the future. And Jesus does something that was very common in that day. Because there used to be personal servants that when you came to somebody's house, say you came over to your friend's house and you walked in, and immediately they would say, sit down, and then they would call a servant over, and the servant would have a nice pan of water, and they would put it down, and they would take your sandals off, and then they would wash your feet and get all of the dust and the grime off of your feet and dry your feet, and then make sure that you were comfortable. Pretty incredible, right? But the servants took care of that kind of thing. Jesus took a pan of water, and he took a towel, and he got on his knees, and he said to one disciple after another, come on. And I'm just telling you, it bothered them because they didn't want to see Jesus become the servant. And there was one man in particular, he was going to wash Peter's feet. And he started to wash his feet. He said, no, you're not doing that. I'll wash your feet. You're not going to wash my feet. It sounded like a very noble thing to say. But then Jesus said this to him. He said, Peter, he said, what you don't understand is, if you don't get this part of who I am, you don't get any of it. If you don't let me wash your feet, then you don't have any part with me. In other words, you don't understand who I am. Of course, then Peter, who always overdid everything, said, well, then just wash my hands and my face too. Jesus kind of looked at him as if, you still don't get it. What I'm showing you is, even as I serve you, I want you to serve each other. Let me tell you the person you need to look for to help shape your future. Someone that will be honest with you and serve you through their honesty all the time. Don't spend your life around people that won't tell you the truth. Because the truth is what serves us best. When I was in high school at Captain Street High School, I was the slowest running back on the team. I was the quarterback at Captain Street, and I was the slowest guy on the team as far as skilled guys. I don't know, I ran, upwards like a 5 flat 40 or something, Now I could jump out of the gym. I was very athletic, had great hand-eye coordination, had a great arm, and all of that. So I was the starting quarterback, but I couldn't really run. Wasn't that I didn't work hard at it. I mean, I was working, running, but I had no form. And my coach, Billy Jack Talton, who was way ahead of his time, he was a strength and conditioning guy before there were any strength and conditioning guys. And he one day stood in front of the whole team, and I was there in that meeting, of course. And he said, guys, we're going to talk about form running today. And he said, if you want to know how not to run, all you have to do is look at your quarterback. All you have to do is to look at Duron to know how not to run, because he has the worst running form I have personally ever seen. How many of you understand, sitting there with my buddies, that was embarrassing? I felt just like Peter felt when Jesus rebuked him and said, if you don't get this, you have no part with me. Now, at that moment, this is what I could have done. I had two choices. One is that I say, I can't believe this idiot is embarrassing me. To say nothing, swell up, walk out of that room, go home and tell my mom and dad. You know how the coach embarrassed me today in front of everybody? That's my one choice. But thank God, somebody say grace. It was the grace of God that let me make the right choice that day. I mean, it's just the grace of God. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I didn't like what he said. I walked up to him after everybody had left the room and said, Coach, will you teach me how to run? And he looked right at me, and this is what he said, guys. He said, that's all I've been after all this time. I wanted to teach you how to run. He said, meet me at the track today after school at 3 o'clock. I met him at the track, and he began to tear down my running style. And he began to show me how to fundamentally run. And of course, when you are trying to get somebody to a fundamental of their craft, you have to go extreme to get them balanced out. How many of you know what I'm talking about? I mean, that makes a little bit of sense to you. Nobody, right? Okay. What I'm saying is, you have to overdo it to get them to do it right because they're doing it so badly. Okay, you didn't understand that either. I'll move on. Here's what they did with me. He said, this is what I want you to do, Duron. I want you to pump your arms. I want you to get a forward lean. And he said, I want you to bring those knees up to your chest. He said, I want the action to move from behind you to in front of you. And he said, I want you to relax. He said, relax your jaws, relax your neck, relax your shoulders. And I want you to get relaxed, and I want you to start striding. And he said, just move those knees, get them up, get on your toes. Well, he began to coach me. Now, the first few times, I would go for a few paces, a few strides, and then I would lose it. And he would very quickly and loudly say, hey, do what I tell you. I would get right back in it. He was a tough guy. He stood there with me, listen to this, for weeks and weeks, just the two of us, teaching me how to run, putting a stopwatch on me. I wasn't a defensive player, I was a defensive coordinator, for Pete's sake. This was extra time. And he put a stopwatch on me. Until I thought, man, I said, it's amazing. I'm a 4'9" now. Wow. I'm a 4'8" now. Wow. I watched that time come down further and further until I went from the slowest back on the team to the fastest back on the team. Now, when Louisiana Tech came my senior year, they said this to me, you're not the kind of quarterback we're looking for. Said you're kind of a runaround guy, but listen to this. We know you can run. And we always need guys that can really run. So we'd like to give you a full scholarship to play receiver at Louisiana Tech. My first 2 years I played receiver. My last 2 years I played quarterback. We won 2 national championships my last 2 years at Louisiana Tech. I watched as God graced me to be the most valuable player in the Southland Conference. We had wonderful success. It was crazy. And yet all I could think about, honestly, when I stood in receiver awards, or when I watched the success of the team, or when I saw us win game after game after game, all I could think about was those days. Were those days. Just that coach and I were on that track. A man that cared enough to embarrass me. Good. A man that cared enough to correct me. A man that washed my feet by saying, I'm going to tell you the truth and you're not going to like it. but I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you'll listen to the truth, I will shape you into something that you never thought you could be. You see, when you're looking for people to shape your life, you're not looking for sweet people. You're not looking for people that always affirm you. You're not looking for people that are going to make you feel good about your mediocrity. Good. You're not ever looking for people that are going to make you feel good about average. You're not ever looking for people that'll just affirm you and pat you on the back and say, you're fine just like you are. No, no, no. If you're looking for somebody that's going to help you achieve your dreams and your destiny and the future that God has planned, then you've got to find somebody that will bring you out of your comfort zone, that will get a basin and will begin to wash your feet by telling you the truth. By saying, you'll never make it if you don't get this. You have no part with me if you don't get this. You've got to get this. And let me just say this to you. For those of you that succeed, there will always be a coach, Dr. Billy Jack Talton. That was the name of my coach in your life. There will always be a Billy Jack Talton. It may be a science teacher. It may be an English professor. It may be a soccer coach. It may be a basketball coach. It may be an assistant football coach. It may be your mom, your dad. It may be an uncle, an aunt. It may be a friend who is just honest. Okay. Once you find them, you hold on to them and you say, look at me. Look into my eyes. I want you, my friend, to correct me when I need it. I want you, my friend, to speak what you see, not what you think I want to hear. I close with this. You will succeed based, listen, on the amount of instruction that you are willing to receive, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you.
So good.
You will succeed based on the amount of instruction you are willing to receive, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. Somebody begins to call you out that's an authority. Let me ask you this. Do you pass the eye test? You say, what's the eye test, Pastor? Do you give them this? Or do you give them this? This? Oh, he's getting on me now. Or do you give them this? I'm going to hear everything they've got to say to me right now. This is key for me. This is key for me. My son was very small, Duron. Duron was a great athlete here. He was the most valuable player in the city his senior year at shortstop. He was our quarterback. We went to the Dome twice with him, won his senior year over West Monroe, and just had a great, successful career. Went on to play at Pepperdine, shortstop. Pepperdine was the most valuable player in the West Coast Conference, and signed with the Texas Rangers, played 1 year in their farm league. He had a great career. He was a great athlete. A little bitty boy. So I'm coaching him, and he seemed to really like it. So I really got after him. I was really coaching him one day, and he looked up at me, and his lip was quivering. He's just a little bit boy, and tears were streaming down his cheeks. And boy, I just stopped. I sat down and I gathered him on my knee. I said, baby, I'm so sorry. I said, Dad got carried away. I said, I won't be that rough on you anymore. I said, I was coaching you like the big boys. I'll never forget that little guy reaching up and wiping those tears. And he had fire in his eyes. He looked right at me and he said, Dad, I want you to coach me like the big boys. See, here's when you know you're on your way to success. When you find people that'll tell you the truth, like Jesus told Peter the truth. And you're able to say to that teacher, you're able to say to that coach, you're able to say to that parent, you're able to say to that grandparent, you're able to say to that mentor, you're able to say to that friend that's a little wiser and further down the road than you, you're able to say to them, look, you coach me like the big boys. You coach me like I'm a big girl. You coach me beyond my years because I've got big dreams. I've got big plans. I want to do great things. And if I can do great things, I know I've got to find somebody to help shape those dreams. And the first person I've got to find is somebody that will serve me simply by being blatantly honest with me. Stand with me, please, all over this place. Amen. Look at me and listen just for a second. Not everybody in this age category from junior high to high school has a plan. In fact, most of us don't. But even though we don't have a plan, some of us already have a deep desire to do something great. I'll never forget David D., my son. We were in a conversation one day, and there were two of his friends and he, and then just him. And so there were three young men. So I got philosophical with them, and I said, guys, what do you really want to be? What do you want to be? This was when David D. was probably in the 8th grade. What do you want to be? One of the guys said, well, I'd like to do something in sports. The other guy, I forgot what he said. And David D. looked and he said, I don't know. He said, all I know is this. I don't know what I want to be. I just know I want to be famous. You say, wow. But that's kind of the way dreams at this stage and age are. They're not definite most of the time. And we don't know what it is we want to do. We just know we want to do something that makes a difference. We want to do something great. We want our lives to count, So I want to be famous. Of course, he was with his brother-in-law, Rich Wilkerson, some friends, and Kourtney Kardashian was eating dinner with them at this restaurant in Malibu not long ago. And so when they got through, they saw that the paparazzi was out by the cars. And so my son-in-law, Rich Wilkerson, said, David D., walk Kourtney to her car and let's see what happens with the paparazzi. And so he just walked Kourtney Kardashian to her car. Well, if you look up David D. Duron on your phones now, all you'll see is the new boyfriend of Kourtney Kardashian. Of course, it was just a big joke. It was a walk to the car. I called him the next day. Do you know what I said? How many of you know what I said to him? I said, well, you've achieved your goal, son. You're now famous. Here's what I know about you. We're starting this year out, and you think it's just another school year. And it is in many ways. But it's really more than that, because it's your first step toward greatness, toward doing amazing things for God. Somebody said, what is it about Evangel? I said, all you have to do is to ask our graduates, because this is what our graduates say about this school, really. When we ask them, why are you successful? Why are you reaching for the stars? Why are you doing what you're doing? This is what they say over and over again. We've heard it through the years. There is just the feeling when you go to school at this place and when you graduate from this place that you're supposed to go do something great. Here's what I want to tell you. God's desires for your greatness exceed your own. Don't ever sell yourself short. The first person you got to look for, somebody that will serve you just by telling you the truth and challenging you to go higher. They're out there. You've just got to find them. Let's pray right now. In the name of Jesus. Now, Father, I pray in Jesus' name that you will move in every life and in every heart. And I pray, oh God, that as we move towards you this year, we'll find that person, that teacher that causes us to reach a little higher, that coach that pushes us to go a little longer, a little deeper, that friend that doesn't tell us what we want to hear, but loves us enough to tell us the truth. And I ask, oh God, that you will do exceedingly abundantly above what everyone in this place is able to ask or think, according to the power that works in them. As your heads are bowed and your eyes are closed.